I never thought I'd poison a man's drink at his own anniversary party. But that's exactly what I did to Richard Hargrove, right there in the crystal ballroom of the Four Seasons, with champagne flutes clinking and his oblivious wife laughing at some tech bro's joke. Not arsenic or anything dramatic like that, just a little something to make him puke his guts out in front of the venture capitalists he'd been schmoozing all night, exposing the fraud he called a visionary pitch. And as he retched into the potted palm, I whispered in his ear, "This is for the code you stole. Cabron, for the life you ruined when you let your wife pin it all on me. My name is Amaya Ruiz. And for 8 years, I bled code for Hargrove Innovations like it was my own damn blood." Silicon Valley doesn't hand out participation trophies. You grind or you get ghosted. I was 25 when I landed the gig fresh out of Stanford, a Chicana kid from East LA who coded her way out of the projects with nothing but a laptop and a chip on her shoulder. Richard Hargrove, he was the golden boy, mid-40s. Ivy League polish. The kind of guy who wore Stanford hoodies ironically while dropping TED Talk wisdom on diversity hires like me. His wife, Elena, was the real shark, blonde, Botox smooth, ex-Wall Street with a law degree she used like a switchblade. She wasn't on payroll, but she ran the shadows, betting hires, whispering in Richard's ear, blocking deals that didn't stroke her ego. It started small. My first big project was Athena, an AI algorithm for predictive analytics in supply chains. I pulled 18-hour days, debugging in the glow of my monitor while the rest of the team hit happy hours at the Palo Alto bars. Athena wasn't just code, it was my baby, woven from late-night tacos and dreams of sticking it to the world that told me go back to Mexico when I aced my comp sci finals. When we demoed it to the board, Richard took the stage, crediting the team with that humble brag smile. But I caught Elena's eye from the wings, cold, appraising, like she was pricing me out. The betrayal hit 6 months later. We just closed a Series B round, fat with VC cash from Sand Hill Road vultures. My performance review glowed. Amaya's contributions to Athena are unparalleled. Raise? Locked in at 15%. Per HR's email. Then, poof, denied. Richard called me into his corner office overlooking the Dumbarton Bridge. Fog rolling in like a bad omen. Budget constraints. Amaya. Elena flagged some irregularities in the IP logs. Irregularities? My stomach dropped. Turns out, someone had backdated commits on Athena's core module, making it look like Richard's pet intern, a trust fund kid named Tyler, had collaborated on the heavy lifts. But I knew those fingerprints, the sloppy variable names, the Easter eggs in the comments like EH's magic touch, Elena's initials. She'd forked my repo in secret, laundered it through Tyler to juice Richard's founder cred for the pitch deck. I confronted her at the company holiday mixer, eggnog spiked with desperation. She was in a red sheath dress, laughing with the CFO. Elena, what the hell? That's my work. Her smile didn't crack, practiced. Lethal. Amaya, darling. Innovation's a team sport. Richard's the face, you're the engine. Don't make this messy.
Messy?
She blocked my raise, froze my equity vest, and whispered to HR about attitude issues. I swallowed it. Because what choice did I have? Quit and get blackballed in the valley?
No.
I played nice, clocked in, coded through the rage. But deep down, I started digging. Late nights in the server room, VPN tunnels to offsite backups. That's when I found the buried secret. Athena wasn't just stolen code. It was built on pilfered data, scraped from a defunct competitor's cloud without consent. A felony under CFAA, if it ever saw daylight. And the logs? They traced back to Elena's laptop, time-stamped during her sabbatical in Napa, when Richard was schmoozing investors solo. She'd covered it up masterfully, flipping the script on me. Planted a dummy file in my directory. Made it look like I'd greenlit the scrape. Richard bought it hook, line, and sinker his wife. His blind spot. Amaya. We all make mistakes, he said, signing off on the warning in my file. Mistake? That mistake cost the competitor their shutdown, jobs lost, families gutted. I'd borne the weight unknowingly. My name on the commit that sealed their fate. Betrayal doesn't get deeper than carrying someone else's sin on your back while they sip rose at rooftop soirees. I kept my head down for a year, plotting in the margins. Joined a Women in Tech Slack. Networked with lawyers on the sly. My therapist, bless her, a no-nonsense black woman from Oakland, called it strategic patience. But patience curdled into something darker. Elena's flips started showing. One day, she'd corner me in the kitchenette. All faux mentorship, lean in, Amaya. But not too hard. Next, she'd ice me out at all hands, crediting Tyler for Athena 2.0 upgrades that were verbatim my pull requests. Richard? Clueless enabler. Too busy chasing unicorn status to question the throne his wife built from my bones. The hook that snagged me deeper was the pregnancy announcement. Elena, glowing at the quarterly town hall, hand on her barely there bump. Richard and I are thrilled, a new chapter for the family. And for Hargrove. The room erupted. I clapped like a trained seal. But inside, fire. Because buried in those IP logs wasn't just theft, it was motive. Elena had needed Athena's success to fund her philanthropy side hustle, a shady nonprofit funneling VC kickbacks to offshore accounts. The baby? Leverage. A golden handcuff on Richard to keep him loyal while she siphoned. I'd borne the crime, but now it was personal. That kid would inherit an empire built on my stolen sweat, my framed fall. By spring, the tension was a live wire. I'd scraped together evidence, emails from Elena to Tyler, make it look collaborative, blame the Mexican if it blows. Server audits timestamped to her VPN. But exposing it meant nuking my career. Maybe jail time if the feds sniffed around the data theft. So, I waited for the opening. It came at their 5th anniversary gala, black tie affair at the Four Seasons, A-listers from Google and Apple mingling with Hargrove's blue blood backers. I wasn't invited. Of course. Low-level dev. Remember? But I crashed it anyway. Sequin dress from the rack at Macy's. Hair swept up like I belonged. Slipped past the valet with a forged +1 wristband. Tech perks. NFC hacks are child's play. The ballroom hummed with jazz and ambition. Chandeliers dripping light like liquid gold. Richard held court by the bar, pitching Athena's revolutionary pivot to climate tech, lies. All of it, my code repurposed without a nod. Elena glided through, air-kissing influencers, her emerald gown hugging the curve of her secret. I nursed a gin and tonic, pulse thundering, waiting for the speech. That's when I made my move on the drink. Not poison, laxative cocktail, heavy on the senna from my medicine cabinet, masked with bitters in his signature old-fashioned. The bartender was distracted. I stirred it in with a cocktail straw, heart slamming like a DDoS attack. He sipped, oblivious, launching into his toast. To Elena, my rock. And to the team, especially our rising stars like Tyler, who make magic happen. Magic. I bit my tongue bloody. 20 minutes later, as the VCs leaned in for the close, Richard's face went ashen. He bolted for the restroom, but not before doubling over the marble floor, spewing bourbon and bile in front of God and Sequoia Capital. Gasps rippled. Elena's mask cracked for a split second, pure venom in her eyes as she scanned the crowd, landing on me. I raised my glass. Silent. Gone before security blinked. That was the spark. But revenge? It doesn't end with a puke stain on Persian rug. It festers, builds, until the whole house burns. And mine was just getting started. The fallout hit like a server crash at peak load. Ugly, cascading, impossible to ignore. By Monday, the Valley Whisper network was ablaze. Hargrove's gala gutbuster, food poisoning or cold feet on the IPO? Richard called in sick. Elena went radio silent. And I clocked in at 9 a.m. Sharp. Badge beeping like nothing happened. But the side eyes in the open plan office were thermonuclear. Tyler, that weasel, cornered me by the Keurig. Heard you were at the party. Weird timing. Ruiz. I shrugged, pouring my black coffee. Gatecrasher's gonna crash. Blame the oysters. HR hauled me in by noon, standard anonymous tip bullshit. Elena's doing, no doubt. Seated across from a doughy mid-level suit named Greg. I played dumb. Gala? Oh. Right, crash for the free booze. Richard's toast was killer. Greg adjusted his tie. Sweating. Witnesses say you were near the bar. Any interactions? I leaned in, channeling every telenovela mama I'd ever idolized. Interactions? Like, did I spike his drink with Ipecac? Nah. Greg. But if I did, it'd be karma for that raise he stiffed me on. He blinked, too blunt, but in the valley, HR's a joke. They fold faster than a bad poker hand. I walked out unscathed, but the real war brewed in the C-suite. Elena flipped her first big card that week, leaked an internal memo blaming rogue elements in engineering for the data scrape scandal, fingering me as the scapegoat. Amaya Ruiz authorized unauthorized access, it read, with forged Slack logs. Richard, pale and hungover in the all-hands Zoom, backed it. Tough times. Folks. We're auditing, but trust the process. Trust? The man couldn't trust his own gut after Saturday. I fired back anonymously on Glassdoor. Toxic leadership. IP theft rampant. Women crushed under glass ceilings, and watched the reviews tank. Recruiters started pinging me. Escape hatches? Tempting. But I wasn't running. Not yet. My lawyer, Sofia Mendez, fierce Cuban-American from a firm in San Jose, pro bono for underrepresented devs, dug into the dirt. This isn't just theft. Mija, she said over faux in her cluttered office. Steam rising like secrets. It's racketeering. Elena's nonprofit? Shell for laundering pitch fees. And that baby? Due diligence shows Richard's not the father. DNA whispers from a Napa vintner she romanced during her sabbatical. Twist 1. Elena's flips weren't just professional, they were personal carnage. She'd borne Richard's child as a ploy. But the real seed was sown elsewhere. Tying back to the data theft, blackmail fodder to keep the vintner's family quiet about a vineyard deal gone sour. Sophia's team subpoenaed the logs. I fed them crumbs from my shadow drive. Tension coiled tighter. Elena started tailing me, subtle. Her Tesla idling outside my No Valley walk-up, or casual run-ins at the Ferry Building Market. One rainy Tuesday, she cornered me under the awnings, umbrellas popping like gunfire. You're playing with fire. Amaya. Drop it. or the feds get your green card flagged. My papers were ironclad, naturalized at 18, but the threat landed. Fire? Elena, you built this house on my back. I'm just striking the match. She laughed, low and throaty. You think you're the hero? Richard's the visionary. I'm the one who saved this company from hacks like you. Hacks like me. The word stung, echoing every microaggression I'd swallowed. The diversity quota jabs. The assumptions I'd learned Python from YouTube instead of acing algorithms. But it fueled me. I escalated, hacked the internet, ethically, by a forgotten backdoor. Leaked Athena's true origins to TechCrunch tipline. Hargrove AI, stolen code or startup savvy, splash Monday morning. Stock dipped 5%. Richard's podcast invites dried up. Elena flipped again. Going full damsel. Tearful LinkedIn post about maternal leave amid crisis, painting me as the bitter saboteur. The comments split. Girl bosses cheering her resilience. Tech equity calling for my head. Controversy brewed. Just like Sophia predicted. Make M choose sides. Amaya. No one's clean. The board convened emergency session, my invite, courtesy of Sophia's injunction. I walked into that glass box on the 22nd floor like I owned it. Folder of printouts underarm. Richard slouched at the head, eyes bloodshot, Elena to his right, hand protective on her belly. The picture of victimhood. The suits, gray-haired relics from Menlo Park, eyed me like a glitch in their matrix. MS. Ruiz, the chairwoman drawled. This is disruptive. I didn't sit. Disruptive? Like stealing code from a brown woman to prop up a white founder's myth. Gasps. Elena's facade cracked. Slander. She's unstable. Blocked her own raise out of spite. Spite? That was her line. Twisted to make me the villain. I slapped the folder down, emails. Logs. The works. Read it. Page 47. Your VPN to the competitor's AWS. Page 112. Tyler's confession DM to his frat bro. He made me do it, lol. The room went tomb silent. Richard's face crumpled. He knew. Or suspected. Elena lunged for the table. Controversial move 1. Snatching pages. Hissing. This is fabricated. She's framing me to cover her theft. Framing her? The irony burned. But then she flipped. Turned to Richard. Voice breaking. Baby. I did it for us, for the family. He recoiled. Hand to his mouth like gala night redux. The board fractured. Half wanted blood, fire Elena. Sue me for leaks. Half saw $signs, spin it as internal innovation audit, settle quiet. I stood there, pulse roaring, as Sophia's voice echoed in my head. Push the gray. Make M question. And they did. Whispers of, is she the thief or the whistleblower? Does the baby change the optics? No heroes. Just shades of culpability. Richard adjourned. Shell-shocked, Elena stormed out, shooting me a look that promised war. I tasted victory. Bitter as bile. But revenge's high is fleeting. The crash comes hard. That night, alone in my apartment with the city lights smearing the fogged window, I cracked open a Tecate. The twist nod. Elena's nonprofit? It funded scholarships for girls like me, undocumented dreamers clawing for comp-sci spots. Stolen money. Sure. But real impact. Had I borne the sin to birth something good? Or was it all smoke? Sleep evaded. Tomorrow. Depositions. The real climax loomed. Depositions are hell disguised as bureaucracy, fluorescents buzzing like angry hornets. Lawyers circling like vultures over a stalled Uber. Sophia prepped me in her office. War paint on, sharp blazer, hair in a fierce bun. Stick to facts. Amaya. Elena's desperate. She'll flip to save her skin.
Desperate?
Understatement. The discovery phase unearthed more rot. Richard's emails to a divorce attorney. Dated pre-gala. Citing irreconcilable trust issues.
Trust.
The man who'd trusted her to gut my career now eyed the exit ramp. Baby or no? We convened in a neutral Menlo Park conference room. Neutral my ass. Hargrove's retainers from Cooley LLP. Sharks in Brooks Brothers. Elena arrived last, flanked by her own counsel. A Silver Fox partner who reeked of entitlement. She looked wrecked. No makeup. Hair limp. The gown traded for maternity chic that screamed sympathy vote. Richard wasn't there, scheduling conflict. His email read. Coward. I took the stand first. Voice steady as I walked them through the theft. Fork dates. Commit hashes. The dummy file planted like a digital frame job. Sophia projected the logs on the screen. Code scrolling like a guilty verdict. Cross-examination hit like a rollback error. Elena's lawyer, smug as a patched vulnerability, leaned in. MS. Ruiz. Isn't it true you accessed the competitor's data out of professional jealousy? Emails show you emailing HR about a raised dispute days before. Forged. All of it, Sophia objected, but the seed planted. Doubt flickered in the stenographer's eyes. Then Elena testified, flipping hard. I advised on the scrape. Yes. But Amaya initiated. She was bitter, blocked her own raise to sabotage. Lies. Venomous and slick. But her voice cracked on bitter, hand fluttering to her belly. The room softened, one Cooley associate even passed tissues. Optics. Pregnant white lady versus the aggrieved Latina dev. Controversy dialed to 11. I bit back fury, but Sophia pounced in redirect. MS.
Hargrove.
Explain the Napa VPN logs, your laptop. 2 a.m. during Richard's investor trip. And the nonprofit transfers. $2 million from Athena licensing to your scholarship fund, wired to Cayman shells. Elena paled, stammering. For the greater good, empowering women like her. Like me, the gall. But it landed wrong, mumbled. Evasive. Richard's absence screamed volumes. Later, Sophia whispered. He's cutting her loose. Subpoenaed his phone, texts begging her to confess solo. The tension peaked midweek. Post-depot drinks at a dive in Mountain View, Sophia's ritual. Beers and bad jukebox country. You're winning. But it's Pyrrhic, she said, clinking bottles. Pyrrhic? My career was radioactive. Headhunters ghosted. Neighbors whispered. Yet the board's leaks hinted settlement. $1.20 mil payout. NDA. My name cleared. Tempting. But Elena? She flipped again publicly. Friday morning. A Medium post. My truth. Betrayal in the boardroom. Tearjerker prose about gaslighting from below. Me as the entitled disruptor who'd targeted my unborn child. Hashtags. Mom guilt, tech toxic masculinity, ironic. Pinning it on me. The Valley ate it up. Twitter storms. Podcasts dissecting Amaya versus Elena. Victim or vixen? I countered with my own post raw. Unfiltered. I built Athena from scratch. Carried the fall for her hacks. Now she plays the victim card while her scholarships launder lies. Attachments. Redacted logs. The split deepened. Feminist split. Half decrying my punching down, half roasting her white tears. No clear right, Readers pick teams like fantasy football. Richard finally surfaced, voicemail. Voice wrecked. Amaya. Meet me. Unofficially. Elena's unraveling. The baby's at risk.
Risk?
My blood boiled. But curiosity hooked me. We met at a fog-shrouded cafe in Half Moon Bay. Waves crashing like unresolved bugs. He looked a decade older. Stubble silvered. Eyes haunted. She lied to me everything. The code. The affair. The accounts. I took the blame for the scrape early on. Shielded her. Shielded. Another layer. He'd borne sins too. Covering for her flips to keep the dream alive. Why tell me now? I asked. Latte cooling untouched. Because you're right, it's all ash. But expose the ownership? Athena's yours. Legally. I backdated the assignment in the settlement. Walk away rich. Or burn it all. Temptation twisted. Victory. Or vengeance. That night. Elena called, unblocked. Voice slurred. Maybe wine. Maybe desperation. You win.
Puta.
But know this. The vintner's kid? He's got dirt videos of you at the gala. Spiking the drink. Extortion play. Threat too. Laced with her cunning. I hung up. Heart hammering. Sophia confirmed. Blurry security cam. Time-stamped. But inconclusive, no clear pour. Still. It muddied waters. Climax brewed. The final hearing. Board vote on dissolution clauses. I'd push for full exposure. Patent reversion to me. Elena's nonprofit audited by SEC. Controversial? Hell yes. Tanking scholarships for justice? It'd divide souls. The hearing dawned gray. Courthouse steps slick with drizzle. Protesters, tech activists, Me Too holdouts, chanted outside. Signs blurring friend and foe. Inside. The judge, a no-nonsense fed from the bench, called order. Sophia opened. Your Honor. Hargrove Innovations is a fraud built on MS. Ruiz is stolen IP. We seek restitution and injunction. Elena's side countered. Defamation.
Yes.
Ruiz's vendetta endangers innocence. Innocence, the bump. The greater good. Richard testified last. Flipping the script ultimate. I own nothing. Elena controlled it all. My signature forged on the competitor NDA. Amaya's the true inventor. Gasps echoed. Elena shrieked. Liar. For the baby. Chaos. She lunged at him. Belly first, dramatic. Divisive. Security swarmed. Medics checked her. Faint? Real or ruse? The room polarized. His betrayal heroic or gutless? Her rage maternal or manipulative? I stood frozen. The weight of it all crashing. No winners, just wreckage. The courtroom emptied like a crashed app, echoes fading. Air thick with what-ifs. Medics wheeled Elena out on a gurney. Monitors beeping steady. False alarm. Stress-induced. Her lawyer spun to reporters. Richard vanished into a side room. Head in hands.
Me?
Sophia squeezed my shoulder. You did it. Judge is leaning injunction. Athena's yours. Mine. The code I'd birthed. Stolen. Now reclaimed. But elation?
Hollow.
Outside. Rain lashed the plaza. Protesters scattering like pixels in a glitch. A chant lingered. Justice for Amaya, mixed with save the scholarships. Settlement talks dragged into evening virtual to dodge paparazzi. Richard's feed flickered from a hotel suite. Eyes red-rimmed. Sign it. Amaya. Full patent transfer. $3 mil severance. Your raise retro times 10. Generous. Elena's absence loomed. Her team phoned in concessions. Voice tinny. Clients resting. Agrees to dissolve nonprofit. Pending audit. The flips tallied, from thief to martyr to cornered rat. But the twist hit via Sophia's urgent text mid-call. Check your encrypted drop. Richard's full confession. Sent pre-hearing. I cracked it on my phone.
Pulse spiking.
PDF. Notarized. Richard admitting he'd known about the scrape from day one. Not just shielded, but orchestrated. Elena was the coder. I fed her the competitor leads. Amaya's modules? Polish on her frame. The raise block? My call, to keep her loyal. Scared. My world tilted. Betrayed by both, not just her theft, but his puppeteering. I'd borne the mistake, but he'd wielded the knife. And the kicker, the baby's mine, biologically. Elena's affair? Rumor I planted, to force her hand in the pivot. Leverage for control. Leverage. The man who'd played victim was the architect, flipping blame to Elena.
To me?
To fate. Controversy crested. Release it. And Richard burns. Company folds. Jobs vaporize. Hold it. And I own the tech. But sleep with ghosts. The call ended. I stared at the bay from the courthouse steps. Ferries cutting fog like unanswered queries. What now? Happy ending, cash out. Start Amaya AI. Hire the overlooked? Or, tragic, leak it all. Watch the empire crumble. Scholarships die with it? Decision crystallized at dawn. My apartment bathed in pink light. I wired Sophia. Full exposure. All docs public. By noon, it hit, joint filing. Redacted for the kid. But brutal. Richard's confession. Elena's logs. The web of deceit. TechCrunch live blogged. Hargrove implodes. Founder confesses. Wife's empire crumbles. Stock plummeted 30%. Layoffs loomed. Elena's nonprofit shuttered pending probe. Irony. The empowerment fund exposed as slush. But audits uncovered legit grants. Kids' futures hanging. Richard resigned. Stepping back for family. Whispers of indictment. Elena? Radio silent. But a final text buzzed. You got your revenge. Hope it tastes sweet. When the board sues you for leaks.
It didn't.
I walked the Embarcadero that afternoon. Gulls wheeling. Alcatraz a smudge on the horizon. Victory divided me too. No pure right. Just fallout. Protesters hailed me hero online. Detractors branded destroyer. The twist? Weeks later. A scholarship kid emailed Mexican-American. First gen. Coding bootcamp bound. Your fight saved my spot. Funds reallocated via GoFundMe.
Gracias.
Amaya. One life. Pulled from the wreck. But Richard's kid? Born amid scandal. Inheriting whispers, not wings. I launched Amaya Tech 6 months on lean, ethical. Hiring the ghosts of Valley's underbelly. Athena evolved. Open source core. Royalties funding real scholarships. No throne. Just code. Elena faded to tabloid fodder. Richard to consulting obscurity. Me? I drive the 101 at dusk. Windows down. Bad Bunny blasting. The weight lighter but never gone. Revenge isn't a period. It's an ellipsis. And in America's grind. That's the real hook. Who's right when everyone's wrong?